Hello students, welcome to the online class in Business Studies and Management. In this episode, we will discuss the topic Introduction to Business Part 2. This topic covers three things: the requisites of successful business, classification of business activities, and business risk concept. This class is meant for the students of class 11 commerce. Okay? Hello students. Well, we will start the requisites of successful business. You know that the modern day business world is full of competition. Cutthroat competition is there in everywhere in business world, and also the environment, the surrounding in which a business exists and operates. This is fast changing. There are changes in demand, changes in market price, changes in government policy, changes in taste, income, fashion, choice of the customers. So, in this changing business environment, changing business surrounding, it is very difficult to manage a business. The managing modern day business is complex and complicated. So, a lot of factors are to be considered for successful management of a business. So, now let us see what are the different requisites or requirements for managing a successful business or to have a successful business. So, how to get success in business? First of all, point number 1 is defining objectives. As we have seen in the last episode, that a business has to achieve different objectives. We have discussed that there are 5 different objectives. Broadly, we can classify business into 5 categories: economic objectives, organic objectives, human objectives, social objectives, and national objectives. In this way, we have classified business objectives in 5 categories. Now, before starting a business, first of all, the entrepreneurs should decide the objectives of the organization for which they are going to start business very clearly, because once the objective is decided, it will help us, it will guide us in the right direction to proceed ahead to achieve the objectives. So, objectives provide specific direction of action. I am here, I want to be there. There are several ways of reaching there. So, what is the best way of achieving that goal, that is the objective, that is to be decided only when objective is decided. So, we must be very clear regarding the objectives. So, before starting business, before establishing business, before setting up business, first of all the objectives are to be defined clearly. Okay? Then next point is proper planning. Before we do anything, we must make a plan. Planning means thinking before doing. It is a mental exercise. We think in advance of action about what to do, when to do, how to do, and by whom to do. So, here as my present position is here, I am at place A, I want to be at place B. My objective is to reach at place B. So, how to reach there? What are the various ways of reaching there? I have to identify various alternatives to reach at point B or place B. Out of these several alternative ways, I have to take a decision which is the best way to reach there. So, planning helps us in deciding the best way of achieving the objectives successfully. So, after deciding objectives, planning is made. It shows us the best possible future course of action to be taken to achieve the predetermined goals, predetermined objectives. Next, deciding size, location and layout. What should be the size of organization, size of enterprise? As we have seen in our previous class, that there are 4 different categories of enterprises on the basis of size or capital investment or on the basis of scale of investment: micro scale industries, small scale industries, medium scale industries, and large scale industries. So, which one will be the our organization, whether we will start a large scale organization or we will start a small scale or medium scale or micro scale, that will determine the size, that is the size of capital investment. So, the size of business is determined on the basis of proposed capital investment, how much capital is to be invested, whether it will be operated in small scale or whether the business will be operated in large scale or medium scale or micro scale, that is to be decided first. Then only we will determine the capital requirement, we will determine the plant capacity and the volume of transactions. So, all these things are to be decided first. Then location. Location of plant means where the business is, where the factory of the plant or plant of the business is to be located, at what place. Normally, the location of plant is decided on the basis of availability of resources, input resources. What are the input resources a business requires? A business requires raw materials, a business requires machines, manpower, technology, electric power, water supply facility. So, all these facilities, all these items should be available easily. So, where all these resources, materials, where the machine is available, where the raw materials are available, where electricity power supply is available, where water supply facility is available, in that location our factory will be established. So, location of factory is decided keeping in view the availability of various resources like raw materials, labor, water, electric power, road and transportation facilities. Proximity to market is also another consideration. If our factory or production site is located nearby the marketplace, then also it will reduce considerable amount of transportation cost. So, आम जो raw material कंचामाल पाखे मिलूँ से जगार जो मैन पावर मिलूँ जो रास्ता घाटर सुविधा अच्छी इलेक्ट्रिक विद्युत जोगाण जल जोगाण सुविधा अच्छी से जगार जब आम प्लांट अवस्थिति निर्णय करा ताले आमको सुविधा सुरक्षित सब जिन मिल उत्पादन कर असुविधा हे ना. देन कम्स लेआउट. व्हाट इज लेआउट? लेआउट ऑफ प्लांट मीन्स प्रॉपर अरेंजमेंट ऑफ प्लांट inside the factory. What is the necessity of layout of plant? Layout of plant facilitates free movement of materials from one machine to another. Also, it facilitates free movement of labor or workers inside the factory. So, they should be properly arranged so that there will be no obstacles in the way of movement of materials, movement of manpower inside the factory. So, proper layout of plant is also necessary for effective utilization of available space, because space is more costly. Nowadays, the rent of building, rent of workshop is very high. The space is more costly. Therefore, the better utilization of space, available space is to be made, and for that purpose proper layout of plant is also essential for free flow of production. Then comes sound organization. What is organization? Organization is the process of division of activities into different departments. So, total activities, business activities, production and distribution activities are to be divided into many departments, various departments, and each department is to be assigned particular duties and responsibilities. Specific task is to assign to each department. Duties and responsibilities are assigned to each department, and then adequate amount of authorities are also given to the departmental heads to carry out their duties, to carry out their responsibilities effectively and efficiently. So, adequate amount of authorities are also delegated to. Authority means the power to have command over subordinate. Authority means to power to take decisions. So, unless adequate amount of authority is given, the manager cannot get his work done, because the responsibility of management to get the work done through subordinate, through lower level employees. Management gets the work done through other people, and it is only the power to have command over subordinate. Management should given a sufficient quantity of authority, so that they can have command over subordinate to get the work done through the subordinates. Then all these departments are to be coordinated. The activities of all these departments are to be coordinated. That relationship, there will be a formal relationship among all these departments. They will be linked together, and a harmonious working relationship is to be established. In addition to all these, physical factors, facilities, arrangement of equipments are to be done at the workplace. So, this is sound organization. So, organization is a process of dividing the total work into different departments, assignment of responsibility and duties to each department, delegating authority to each departmental heads to get the work done or to discharge their responsibilities well, and arrangement of other facilities, equipments and tools. Then comes adequate finance. Finance is considered the lifeblood of every organization. Without finance, no business can be thought of. Finance is required for purchasing of machines, for purchase of materials, for purchase of other assets, for payment of day-to-day expenses, business expenses like wages, salaries, remuneration, electric bill, water bill and so on. So, adequate finance means as much finance as is required to maintain all these expenses, which is enough, which is sufficient to meet all these expenses, business expenses. Because if there is shortage of finance, if there is shortage of capital, then what will happen? it will lead to it will hamper production. The production may be held down due to shortage of finance. Similarly, if there is abundance of finance, what will happen? What is the bad consequence? It will lead to increase in cost of capital. So, both shortage of finance and abundance of finance are to be avoided. Both have their dark point or demerits. So, what is cost of capital? Every rupee capital that is acquired or procured by a business, where from business gets funds, business gets capital from owners, as well as it gets funds from other investors, the lenders, those who provide loan to the business. So, owners and other investors, they provide loan to they provide finance to the business, and all these, whether it is ownership fund or creditorship fund, the borrowed fund, both these funds have cost. Why? Because when we take loan, we have to pay interest. Interest is considered as the cost of that borrowed fund. Similarly, the profit expected by the owner is the cost of ownership fund or owned fund. So, the cost of capital means the amount of return which is paid to the shareholders and other investors, the owners and other investors. Since capital has cost, every unit of rupee, every rupee has cost of every rupee has certain cost. We must make a decision, financial decision or decision regarding finance very prudently, so that there will be no over capitalization. The abundance of capital should be avoided. Again, the sources of capital, where from we will raise, there are different sources of capital, whether we will raise capital from banks by way of loans, or whether we will raise capital from or funds from owners by way of capital. All these things have to be decided very carefully before starting business. This will also go a long way in getting success in business. Then after finance, efficient management, the quality of management, as I have told, management means getting things done through other people. Management should be efficient. The quality of management, the expertise of management, the efficiency of management, the competency of management, attitude, honesty, dynamism of management go a long way to achieve the success of business. If management is effective, if management is efficient, then the business will run well. If management is inefficient, then the business may not run well. The business may not survive in the long run. So, the competency of management is also an important factor for getting success in business. Management guides, directs, controls and coordinates the activities of groups, a group of people who work together in achieving the common objectives of the organization. Without management, no organization is able to achieve the success, achieve the objective successfully and efficiently and effectively. Then efficient staffing. Staffing means recruitment, or you can say the appointment of right person for right job. The success of an organization depends greatly on the efficient staff, efficient workers of the organization. If the workers are efficient, then the organization will run well. If workers are inefficient, then the organization may not get success. So, the efficient staffing is also another factor. While appointing persons for the organization for different positions in the organization, it must be taken care of. They should be properly selected. Recruitment, there will be a systematic recruitment process, selection process, interview process, so that right persons are selected for right jobs. And the success of here you see the efficient staffing, the success of business depends to a large extent on the quality of its workforce. So, adequate and competent staff need to be appointed in the organization. The quantity and quality of personnel are decided basing upon the workload and nature of job. Quantity of personnel, how many persons are to be appointed, that is quantity. How many workers are required? Suppose, take an example, suppose our daily production target is 1000 units and a worker produces 100 units per day. So, 1000 units per day our target output divided by 100 units is 10. So, we have to appoint at least 10 workers to achieve the target, otherwise we cannot achieve the target. So, on that basis we decide the number of persons, number of workers, and another is the quality of persons, the efficiency of person, the quality. It is decided on the nature of job. What is the nature of job? If it is decision making job, say financial aspect of job, then finance manager, he should have MBA finance. If it is if he is a HR manager, then he will have expertise in that field, MBA HR. In this way, the expertise and efficiency of the nature of the workers to be appointed depends on the nature of job. The nature of job decides the quality of personnel to be appointed. Maintaining high employee morale. The wholehearted cooperation is essential for success of the business. Unless we get cooperation of the employees, unless the workers are loyal or they do not have belongingness to the organization, business cannot get success. So, the workers should be satisfied, proper job satisfaction to be given to them. They should be given incentives for their labors, for their work in the organization. So, in order to achieve cooperation from the employees, they should be given job satisfaction at the workplace. Okay. When the employees are provided good working environment, when the employees are given incentives for their hard work, they will be satisfied and they will develop a sense of belongingness in them. This will boost their morale and it will lead to higher productivity and less supervision. The next point is forecasting demand. That is, forecasting demand means we will predetermine the total demand of market. So, for this purpose, first of all we have to see what is the total demand for the product in the industry. Then we will subtract from this total demand the quantity of goods supplied by the competitors. Balancing figure is our target, that is our target production. So, production has no meaning if the products have no demand in market. So, before you produce, we must make a forecast of demand, and while forecasting demand, first of all we will see the total demand in the industry, and from that total demand we will deduct the market share of the competitors to determine the total demand of the business under consideration. Then customer satisfaction, next point, customer satisfaction. Creation and retention of customers is another important factor, because customers are the king of the market. If customers are well satisfied, then we can grow well in market, we can get success in market. So, customer satisfaction is also another important factor for getting success in business. Customers should be given topmost priority. Suitable marketing strategies should be developed, not only to fight competition, but also to make an entry into market with the customers and satisfy them by providing quality goods at reasonable price. They must be provided quality goods. They should not be exploited, customers should not be exploited by charging heavy price. They should be provided quality goods, so that they will be satisfied, and then only we can grow well in market. Next point is innovation. Nowadays technology is fast changing, that is cutthroat competition in the market. So, we have to innovate ourselves. Innovation means creating some new features into our product. We are producing an existing product and we have to add, we have to modify, we have to restructure our production, and we have to add some new features to our existing product, that is innovation. So, innovation, without adoption of new technologies, we cannot survive in the market, we cannot get success in market. So, to get success in market, we must innovate our product. Then building good social image, that is goodwill, building goodwill. We have to build a reputation, we must build goodwill in market. A business should try to earn reputation and goodwill from the general public in the society through honest dealings with them and implementing various societal developmental activities like construction of roads, construction of hospitals and schools for the benefit of the masses of the society. Also, the business will provide employment opportunity to the local public in the society. It will create good image in the minds of the public in the society. So, these are all points regarding requisites of successful business. Then come to the next point, we will discuss the classification of business activities. As we have seen, business as a process means production and distribution of goods and services for the purpose of making profit. So, business has two parts. As a business as a process, it has two parts, one is production part, the other one is distribution part. The production part is called industry, the distribution part is called commerce. So, there are two components of commerce. So, business activities are classified in two categories, one is industry, the other one is commerce. So, what is industry? Now, let us see in detail what is industry. Industry is that part of business activity which is concerned with production of goods and services. Industry is not same as farm. Industry or farm eka katha nuhe. Industry refers to the work itself. whereas farm refers to the place where the industrial activities are undertaken. A farm has a particular name, a farm may be owned by a single individual or a group of individual, gote farm को गोटे एक व्यक्ति बा एकाधिक व्यक्ति मिसिकरी स्टार्ट करते पारंती. But industry, suppose paper industry, paper making industry. Under paper making industry there are several paper mills they are operating. So paper mills are the examples of farms. JK paper mill, Ballarpur paper mills. There are several paper mills. These are farms, examples of farms. What industry means? Paper making industry, steel making industry. So industry refers to the particular work, that is production activity, that is industry. Then types of industries. Industries can be classified on 3 different bases. Industries can be classified on the basis of 3 different bases. One is type of activity, another is on the basis of size, another is on the basis of technology. Now let us see the types of industries on the basis of type of activity. On the basis of type of activity, industries can be classified in 3 categories: primary industries, secondary industries, tertiary or service industries. Primary industries are those industries which depend on nature for their output. Like these are again two types. Primary industries again divided in 2 parts: genetic industry and extractive industry. Genetic industry is an industry which is engaged in reproduction of different species of plants and animals, like dairy farms, poultry farms, pisciculture, that means fish farming. These are all examples of genetic industry. So here different kinds of species of animals and plants are grown, plant nurseries, it is also an example of genetic industry. Extractive industry. Extractive industry is an industry which is engaged in extraction of natural resources, extraction of resources from nature, like mining. We are extracting, we are digging mines and we are extracting mineral wealth from under the earth, from beneath the earth. Similarly, take an example of hunting, fishing, we are catching fish from rivers, oceans, hunting, cutting of trees from forest. So these are examples of extractive industry. We are extracting resources from nature. So primary industries are those industries where nature plays an important role for their success. In genetic industry, we are reproducing, multiplying the different kinds of species of plants and animals. In extractive industry, we are just collecting them. It is there, it exists in nature, we are just collecting them, we are extracting them. Mining, fishing, hunting, quarrying, these are examples of extractive industry. Then secondary industry. These industries are, secondary industries are those industries which depend on primary industries for their raw materials. That means secondary industries receive raw materials from primary industries. Again, secondary industries are of 2 types: manufacturing industry and construction industry. Now let us see what is manufacturing industry. A manufacturing industry is an industry where raw material passes through different processes to become a finished product. This is again 4 types, manufacturing industry is again 4 types: analytical industries, synthetic industries, processing industry and assembling industry. What is analytical industry? Analytical industry is an industry which is engaged in analyzing a raw material into different finished goods. That means a single raw material are analyzed into many finished goods. For example, crude oil, अशोधित खनिज तेल, crude petroleum, अशोधित खनिज तेल, a single raw material. After processing of crude oil, we get petrol, kerosene, diesel. You see the chart here, I have given the chart here. You see analytical industry, an industry where one raw material is processed and analyzed into many finished goods. So again go to the previous slides. You see, so primary industry is the genetic industry, the industry which is engaged in certain generation or reproduction of out of genes of plants and animals, nurseries, plantation, cattle breeding, goat farming, pig farming, poultry farming, pisciculture, fish farming, etc. Again, extractive industry, this industry is engaged in extraction or collection of products from nature. For example, fruits, roots, gathering, agriculture, lumbering, hunting, fishing, mining, quarrying, etc. Secondary industries, these industries produce finished goods by using raw materials produced by primary industries. Manufacturing industry, this industry is engaged in converting raw materials into finished goods. This is of 4 types. First one is analytical industry. So an industry, analytical industry is a part of manufacturing industry. This industry is engaged in processing one raw material into many finished goods. That means, one raw material is processed into many finished goods. See the diagram, one raw material processing, after processing we get many finished goods. You see the diagram example, the diagram below gives the example. Crude oil inside the center, crude oil, that is raw material, within bracket is written raw material, Asudhita Khanija Serial Kanchamal, and here we produce 4 different items: petrol, diesel, kerosene and lubricant. These are finished goods. So, one raw material, many finished goods. Now see this synthetic industry, an industry where many raw materials are processed and synthesized, combined, mixed into one finished product. So, raw materials are many, finished goods are one. So, you see the example, cement. I have taken the example cement. Here cement is the finished product. This finished product is produced by using different raw materials: coal, limestone, gypsum. These are different raw materials. So, many raw materials are processed or combined or synthesized and one finished product is produced. Now, processing industry. Here in processing industry is an industry where raw material passes through several processes to become finished product. You see the diagram, RM stands for raw material passing through process 1 becomes semi finished SFG. SFG means semi finished goods 1, again process 2, semi finished goods undergoes process 2, it becomes semi finished good 2, then SFG 2, semi finished good 2 processed under process 3 becomes finished goods FG. So, you see the example, cotton textile industry, raw cotton is the raw material, ginning is a process where raw cotton is converted to cleaned cotton. Now, cleaned cotton, the next process is spinning. Spinning is the process of converting cotton to thread. So, we cleaned cotton to thread, suta tiyari karuchu, spinning process re. Thread again weaving process, the next process weaving process, it is converted to cloth. So, suta ko ame luga re parivartan karuchu, weaving, buni, luga bunuchu. Then after cloth we are again dyeing, we are getting colored cloth. So, dyeing ranga deba kamo. So, in this process raw cotton passes through several processes to become colored cloth. This is an example of processing industry. Then come to assembling industry. This is an industry where various parts produced by other industries are assembled, combined together to produce a new product. So, various parts assembling new product. For example, assembling of computer, assembling of television, watches, automobiles, cycles, these are all examples of assembling industry. This is all about manufacturing industry. Now, come to your construction industry, the industry which is engaged in construction work. For example, construction of houses, construction of roads, construction of bridges, dams, these are all examples of construction industry. Manufacturing industry and construction industry, these two industries are secondary industries, they depend on primary industries for their raw materials. Now come to tertiary or service industries. These industries provide various kinds of services useful for smooth operation and growth of business: transportation facility, banking facility, insurance facility. So, transport industry, banking industry, insurance industry, warehousing industry, these are all examples of tertiary services or tertiary industries. Now come to classification of industries on the basis of size. So, first we saw classification of industry on the basis of type of activity. The second one is classification of industries on the basis of size. On the basis of size, industries are 4 types: micro scale industries, small scale industries, medium scale industries. These 3 industries are called MSME sector, MSME sector, micro, small, medium enterprises. Now, another is large scale industries. So, classification of industries, this classification of industry, these 4 classification on the basis of size, this is based on 2 factors. One is investment in plant and machinery and equipment, and the second one is annual turnover. You see the chart with the effect from 1st of July 2020, this is the classification given by government. That means, government decides the limit of investment in plants and machinery, government decides the limit of turnover. So, if at present micro industry is that industry where not more than rupees 1 crore is invested in plant and machinery, and the maximum turnover is 5 crore, not more than that. Similarly, small industry is that industry where not more than 10 crore amount is invested in plant and machinery or equipment, and that annual turnover is not more than 50 crore. Medium industry is that industry where not more than 50 crore is invested in plant and machinery and for equipment, and turnover is 250 crore. Large scale industries are those industries where investment in plant and machinery exceeds 50 crore and turnover exceeds 250 crore. So, these are the 4 classification of industries on the basis of size. Then come to on the basis of scale. or on the basis of technology. On the basis of technology, industries are of two types: heavy industries, light industries. Heavy industries are those industries where which require complex technology in production. Industries engaged in capital goods. Capital goods means machinery, iron and steel. These are all examples of heavy industries where complex technologies are involved. Light industries are those industries where simple technology in production is used, like consumer goods, watches, toys. These are all produced by using simple technology. So, heavy industries are those industries where complex technology is used in production, and light industries are those industries where simple technologies are used in production. Now, come to classification of commerce. So, commerce is another part of business. The first part, production part is over. Production part is called industry, and we have seen what are the different types of industries. Now, come to distribution part, which is called commerce. So, commerce is that part of business activity which is concerned with smooth and uninterrupted distribution of goods and services. Again, commerce is classified in two categories: trade, aids to trade. Trade means buying and selling. Aids to trade means those facilities, those agencies which help buying and selling of goods and services. That means banking, warehousing, transportation, all these are the agencies or aids to trade which facilitate buying and selling of goods and services. So, trade and aids to trade, these are the two important components of commerce. Trade means buying and selling. You see within bracket a branch of commerce. Trade means exchange, that is buying and selling of goods and services between manufacturers, producers, consumers, either directly or through middlemen. These middlemen are called traders, like wholesaler, retailer. It results in transfer of ownership of goods from one person to another. So, here when buying and selling take place, the ownership of goods is transferred from seller to buyer. You see the types of trade. Trade is again divided in two parts: internal trade or home trade. When the buying and selling of goods is confined within the boundary of a country, that is home trade or internal trade, and when buying and selling activities take place within two or more countries, that is called foreign trade or external trade. So, when buyer belongs to India, seller belongs to outside India, that is called import trade. When seller belongs to India, buyer belongs to outside India, that is called export trade, and interport trade, that is called re-export trade. Buying by an Indian trade, when an Indian trader buys goods from X country for the purpose of re-exporting them to Y country, that is called interport trade. Similarly, internal trade is again two types: wholesale trade, retail trade. Wholesale trade is a trade where a trader, the middleman, buys goods from manufacturer and sells them to small traders, that is called retailers. And retail trade is that where the retailer buys goods from wholesalers and sells them to consumers. So, all these things you will read in detail in another subsequent chapter. Now, aids to trade. Commerce includes a number of activities or services which are undertaken to overcome the hindrances or obstacles appearing in the way of trade. That means buying and selling. You see, goods are produced by manufacturers. Goods are produced by manufacturers. They are consumed by consumers, but it is not possible on the part of the single manufacturer to go and meet different customers lying scatteredly throughout the country to sell his product. So, what can they do? Manufacturer has no time to meet each and every customer to sell its product. So, here in that case, it is a hindrance of person. He cannot meet, manufacturer cannot meet each and every customer to sell his product. This is called hindrance of middleman, hindrance of person. This hindrance is overcome by middlemen, that is the traders, wholesaler and buyer, wholesaler and retailer. They facilitate buying and selling process between manufacturer and consumer. Similarly, hindrance of place. Goods are produced at one place, but consumed at other places. So, there is a need for transportation of goods from the place of production to the place of consumption. So, transportation helps in removing or overcoming the hindrance of time. Then hindrance of risk. Risk is involved while when the goods are in transit, when the goods are goods are in transit means ପରିବହନରେ ଯାଉଛି, transporter ଯାଉଛି, or when the goods are in store, warehouse. Warehouse ରେ ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି, ସେଥି risk ଅଛି, risk of fire, risk of theft. So, this hindrance of risk is removed by insurance. So, insurance is the agency which overcomes or which removes the hindrance of risk. Now, hindrance of finance. Hindrance of finance is removed by banking. After production of goods, the capital of the business is exhausted. Now, for continuing further production, some more fund is required, and bank comes forward to provide finance to continue production. So, hindrance of finance is removed by bank. Hindrance of product information. The product knowledge is provided by the business to the customers by way of advertisement and salesmanship. So, these are the different hindrances or difficulties or obstacles, these are removed or overcome by different agencies. These agencies are called aids to trade. So, trade and aids to trade both taken together constitute commerce. Now, come to next part, that is business risk. What is risk? Risk is there in every walk of human life. Risk cannot be avoided altogether, but risk can be minimized by taking precautionary steps. When you go to go outside for some work, you cannot give guarantee that there will be no accident. Even if you take all precautionary steps, even if you obey all traffic rules, then also you cannot give guarantee that there will be no accident. That means, risk is inevitable, risk cannot be avoided, risk cannot be made 0, but risk can be minimized by taking precautionary steps. So, why there is risk and what is the business risk? What is the risk in business? You see, we invest our money, hard earned money in business for the purpose of making profit, but today investment is made and all on a sudden we do not make profit. Profit is expected to be earned in future, but future is highly uncertain. Where there is uncertainty, there is risk. So, uncertainty is the mother of risk. Since we cannot avoid risk, we cannot make our risk 0, but we can minimize risk. We can minimize our risk by taking all precautionary measures, by taking all safety measures. So, what is business risk? In business risk means the possibility of loss. Loss in business may occur due to many reasons. We predicted future, we predetermined future events on the basis of certain assumptions, but these assumptions may go wrong. We predicted that this will be our demand in future, demand for our product in future, but due to entry of competitors into market, due to sudden change in demand, due to sudden change in price, due to change in government policy, our assumption may go wrong. Our business may sustain loss, or that is business risk. Loss, possibility of loss is called business risk. So, here you see this slide, risk means the possibility of occurrence of an unwanted or unfavorable event. A business person wants to earn adequate profits, nobody wants to make loss or inadequate profits. So, business risk means the possibility of earning inadequate profits, that is not sufficient to cover up costs or even making losses. Risk arises because of uncertainty involved in future. So, even if the business makes profit, but if the profit is not enough to cover up the costs, cost means cost of finance. What is profit? Profit is the difference between selling price and cost price, that is profit, but that profit should be enough to meet the cost of capital. And what is cost of capital? The here capital means the funds have been provided by owner. So, owner wants, the owner's fund is called capital, funds have been provided by other lenders, bankers, that is called loan. Owner wants profit on his capital, bankers want interest on its loan. So, the profit expected by owner on his capital, interest charged by bank, these two added together is the total cost of capital, and whether the profit earned by business is sufficient to meet that. If yes, then that is okay, business will survive. If that profit, the profit of the business is not sufficient to pay adequate profit to the owner and interest to the borrowers, then business cannot survive, because they will be dissatisfied. The owners will try to withdraw their money from business, the bankers will lose faith on the business, they will get back their loan. So, that is inadequate profit is also a business risk. Loss or inadequate profit, that means inadequate profit means profit which is not sufficient to cover up costs. Cost means cost of capital. So, this is business risk. Now, you will see here you see business risks are of different types: internal risk, external risk. Business risk may be internal risk or external risk. Internal risks arises from events taking place within the organization, labor unrest, strike, lockout, loss of godown by fire, loss due to theft, etc. These are the internal factors So, risk caused due to these internal factors are internal risk, and external risks arise from events taking place outside the organization. For example, change in technology, technology is fast changing, entry of competitors into the market, change of government policies. These are the factors, and there are several other factors also which are taking place outside the business, and due to that our business may face risk. Factors causing internal risk can be controlled by management. The internal risks are controllable by management. Those factors which create internal risk, they can be controlled, but those factors which cause external factors which cause external risk cannot be controlled. Now, let us see nature of business risk. Risk arises due to uncertainties. I have already told risk arises due to uncertainties. Future is highly uncertain, and where there is uncertainty, there is risk. So, risk arises due to uncertainties. You see human uncertainties, that is strikes, thefts, etc. Business uncertainties, that is wrong prediction of demand, wrong pricing, these are the business uncertainties. Then natural uncertainties, that is earthquake, pandemic, etc. Risk is unavoidable, risk cannot be avoided. We cannot make it 0, but it can be minimized by taking precautionary steps. If we adopt safety measures, if we take precautionary measures, जदि आम सतर्क होबा सावधान होबा ताहले आम रिस्क को मिनिमाइज करि परिबा. Risk depends on nature of business. Whether nature of business here means either manufacturing business or trading business. Manufacturing business has more risk, trading business has less risk, because manufacturing business procures raw materials, machinery, manpower, and by using all these it produces goods and services, then sells it to make profit. But trading business, they do not manufacture, they just buy and sell. So, they know the market price, they select this manufacturer, they buy the goods from the manufacturer and resells them to consumers at a profit. So, if the manufacturing or if it is in manufacturing organization, there is higher risk, if it is in trading organization, there is lower risk. So, risk depends on nature of business. Degree of risk, the quantity of risk, the amount of risk is directly proportional to the size of business. The more the size or the bigger the size of the business, the greater is the risk. The smaller the size of business, the lesser is the risk. The reason is obvious. In a large size business, capital investment is more, where investment is more, risk is more. Where investment is less, risk is less. So, in small business, amount of capital invested is less, so risk is less. So, degree of size, degree of risk is relatively or directly proportional to the size of business. Profit is the reward for risk taking. Profit is the incentive for risk taking. This means the owners, they invest their money, they take risk, and for taking that risk they get a reward or incentive in the form of profit. So, these are the nature of business risk. Now, see the causes, natural causes. These include natural calamities like earthquake, flood, heavy rains, lightning, drought, epidemic, pandemic, etc. So, these are all natural risks. You see the recently due to different reasons, due to natural calamities like earthquake, flood, etc., our factory may cause heavy loss. Natural causes. Human causes, these include unexpected events like strikes, lockouts, wrong predictions of demand and price, accidents in factory due to ignorance, due to carelessness, due to negligence on the part of the employees, on the part of the workers using machines. Those who do not know how to use machine, or those who know how to use the machine, but they are careless regarding it. So, it may cause accidents to them. So, these are all human causes. Then come to economic causes. These include uncertainties relating to economic fluctuations like decrease in demand, entry of competitors into market, bad debt, change in technology. These are all economic causes. Now, political risks or political causes. These include political disturbances, passing of new regulations or amendments to the existing business laws by government, foreign policy of the government. These are all political risks. Due to all these things, our business may sustain risks. The organization may sustain loss, or organization may earn inadequate profits. So, these are all causes of businesses. Before we conclude, let us review what we have already discussed today. So, today in this topic we discussed about 3 things: requisites of successful business, then we saw classification of business activities, then we saw business risk. So, what are the requisites? We have already seen proper first of all defining objectives, then proper planning is required, then we have to decide the size of the plant, location of the plant, layout of the plant, then we have to that is make sound organization, that means organization structure is to be decided, organization structure is to be so that it will create so many departments in order to carry out the responsibilities, duties properly, efficiently, and adequate amount of authority will be granted to them. That is why sound organization structure is to be built for the getting the work done. And then our adequate finance is required, then efficient management is required, efficient manpower is required, the employees morale is to be boosted. Next, that is you can say the maintaining good relationship with them, forecasting demand, and then customer satisfaction, innovation, building social image. These are all factors, these are the all points or factors which go a long way in having success in business. Then we have seen the different classification of the different types of business activities. Business, as from the very definition of the term business, says that business means making profit by way of production and distribution of goods and services. Production is one part, distribution is another part. So, production part is called industry, distribution part is called commerce. Production that means industry and farm are not two things. Industry means the work itself is called industry, whereas farm means the place where industrial activities are undertaken. So, farm refers to a place, factory or mill where production activities are undertaken, whereas industry refers to the production work itself. The work itself is called industry. Industry is a kind of activity, business activity, but farm is not activity, farm is a place where production is undertaken. So, industry is activity, business activity, whereas farm is place where production activity is undertaken. So, again industries of different types on the basis of activity. Industries are of three types: primary, secondary and tertiary. Under primary there are two types: genetic industry, extractive industry. Under secondary there are two types: manufacturing industry, construction industry. Again manufacturing industry is of four types: analytical, where single raw material is analyzed on many finished products. Then your synthetic industry, many raw materials are synthesized or combined together to produce one unit, one finished product. Processing industry, one raw material passes through several processes to become finished goods. Then assembling industry, where different parts are assembled together to produce a finished product. Now, construction industry, where construction activities are undertaken like construction roads, bridges, dams, etc. Then tertiary industry relates to the ancillary services like banking industry, insurance industry, warehousing industry. All these things are coming under tertiary industry. They provide different kinds of services. Now, the second part of business activity is commerce. Commerce means trade and extra trade. Commerce takes care of distribution part of the business activity. So, it has two parts: trade and aids to trade. Trade means buying and selling of goods and services. Aids to trade means those agencies which facilitate buying and selling of goods and services like banking, warehousing, transport, advertisement and salesmanship, traders, middlemen, that is wholesaler and retailer. All these agencies, they facilitate trading. So, they are called aids to trade or auxiliaries to trade. So, this is all about our classification of business activities. Then in the end we have seen business risk. What are the causes of business, what is business risk, and what are the characteristics of business risk and causes of business risk. We have already seen all these things. So, thank you a lot for having a patient hearing of this class.